Hello, and welcome to the 172nd edition of Beer Issues. My name is Matt Bruckert, and I'm coming to you live here today from Casa de Bruckert, where we're going to be having another outstanding beers. Actually, at one point, my favorite beer in the whole world. Things have changed since then, but at one point, and for many years, this is one of my favorites. Today, we're going to be having the Samuel Smiths Oatmeal Stout. This beer is rated 94 out of 100, making it outstanding, right on the edge of world class. Now, this is an English oatmeal stout, so I'm going to go ahead and pour this so we can get a look at it here. Get a nice good pour so we can get a nice head on there so we can get all the aromas and everything like that. So let's go ahead and pour that out, and we'll just set that right here. Okay, so this beer is what they call an oatmeal stout. It clocks in at 5% alcohol by volume, so it's not too strong. It's a beer that you can have several of, but it's not something necessarily, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not real big on drinking stouts out by the poolside, but it's light enough that you, I guess, technically could, but to me, a stout is more for like a cooler evening or a, sitting around inside, okay? So let's go ahead and talk about the smells here. Okay. So right off the bat, I'm getting some like roasted malt and barley. And then there's a sweetness to it. I'm assuming that's like the chocolate malts that they use in it. And I think it's a sweet oats that they use. But when I say this was one of my favorite beers, it really was for a long period of time. And I don't know that I've ever really talked about this, but I like to call it the stages of favorite beers, okay? When I was younger, I drank a lot of beer that really wasn't necessarily that good. But then when I would drink good beers, it was always, like some kind of imports. And I've really found that I love German beers, right? So for the longest time, and still to this day, I love German beers. German beers are way up there for me, okay? But I drank tons of German beers. German beer. It's my favorite style, favorite kind of beer. And then I started getting into the English ales and stouts, and then they became my favorite. So my second love of beer was the English ales. And I still to this day love English ales. Especially like vintage ale and English barley wines. I just absolutely love them. But eventually I found what I like to call the mecca of beer, for me at least, is the Belgian beers. I've been a Belgian beer fanatic for years and years and years now. And who knows if that'll ever change. The U.S. makes great beers, but the beers that even the U.S. makes, I love when they make Belgian-style beers. So I'm truly a Belgian beer fanatic. But anyway, this was for years was one of my favorites. So let's dig in. Oh, just as heavenly as I remember this beer. And I haven't had one in a while, so I'm long overdue. But what you do is right off the bat, you get like the chocolate malts. I get that taste of that chocolatey malt, but I'm also getting like the sweet oats flavor in there. So it makes it like it's a sweet stout. The oatmeal stout's a sweeter stout. Now, if you compare this to other breakfast type stouts, like we've done the Canadian breakfast stout and the Canadian breakfast stout, those are like imperial. This is just regular, so it's much lighter. It's not as boozy. So when you talk about those breakfast stouts, or same kind of style except they're imperial, so there's 10 to 12% alcohol as to where this is 5% alcohol. So it doesn't come across as, boozy, and it's not as like complex. It's just a nice taste of like chocolate malts, and the sweet oats. So it's a very, I wouldn't say super complex beer, but it's perfect for what it's supposed to be. And it's supposed to be a good oatmeal stout, and truly, it's phenomenal. And we've done this brewery before, Samuel Smiths. We talked about recently how they're still delivering beer by horse and carriage over in England, as far as I know. That's the last I read of it. You'll see we're getting great lacing on this beer. It's always a sign of a good quality beer when it sticks. Like on wine they call that like legs, okay? But on beer they call it lacing, and you're getting a nice lacing ring around the beer where we've drank. Ah, my goodness. I'm going to have to start getting this more often because I am truly loving it. Absolutely loving it. So, anyway, if you get a chance and you see, you can't go wrong with any of the Samuel Smiths product, but I think that probably my favorite one is this one here, the Oatmeal Stout. I love the Nut Brown Ale. Their organic chocolate is the best chocolate stout I've ever had. I think it's rated 100, and we've done a beer issues on it before, so you can go back and review. But this is, I think, my favorite of the Samuel Smiths products, because it is phenomenal. And if you see it, make sure you grab yourself one because it's well worth it. Plus, you get a little bit larger bottle, as you can see, not your typical 12-ounce bottle, so you get some bonus ounces to drink. And I'll make sure to enjoy that. Now, if you enjoyed this, make sure you tell your friends about Beer Issues and how much fun we're having talking about good beer and drinking good beer. And make sure they subscribe, because I want everybody to know about Beer Issues and how much fun we're having talking about beer and drinking beer, okay? And if you want any cool Beer Issues gear, like Beer Issues hats, t-shirts, you can go to shop.beerissues.com. And, as my wife likes to say, I have beer issues.